You're listening to Get Optimized, the only podcast dedicated to bringing you infinite amounts of clients using forgotten tactics from the grizzled veterans of marketing. Nate Kennedy is the owner of Optimized Assets, the #1 hired agency for businesses that want to leverage digital marketing to scale client acquisition campaigns without scaling effort. Here's your host, Nate Kennedy.
Hey, what's going on? Nate Kennedy here with the Get Optimized podcast. What I'm going to talk about today is something that I have struggled with the most over the years. I just really couldn't overcome this hurdle of I didn't want to be that guy that just created a bunch of content to create content. I wanted to create valuable insights for people that would actually truly help them. I'm a big, firm believer in giving to the marketplace, hence this podcast. The more you give of value, not just give to give, but give of value, give of good insights, the better off you'll always be within your business. Those who give will always receive. But also with that said, a lesson I just taught my son this past weekend was having a conversation with him. We don't give with expectations of receiving. If you give out of the goodness of your heart because that's what you want to do, not because you want to get something from it. So whatever, life lessons in the Kennedy household, right? What I want to talk about it today is our Fireside Chat formula. Our Fireside Chat formula really is something that's been born out of my struggle to create, wanting to create good content and not feeling like I'm just creating content to create content to keep up with all the chaos that's going on in the marketplace. So what I'm going to cover is really how we're able to boost authority, attract the right audience, and build a healthy pipeline for your business. That's what we're going to go through today with the Fireside Chat formula. So with that, number one, the goal of this thing is, I might be jumping around a little bit today. If you want to actually download what I'm going through, you can get it in the show notes, but it's also firesidechatformula.com will take you there to be able to get a copy of the stuff, of the Fireside Chat formula and the things that we're going to talk about today. So number one is, the goal of this is to build attention, attraction, and authority, right? You have attention, attraction, and authority is what this Fireside Chat formula will do for you, is help you get in front of those right people and do just that. So we have 3 circles we call the circle of trust. And there's kind of these circles of awareness that people have about you. People are either unaware of you. And you can get into this with Breakthrough Advertising, a phenomenal book, Breakthrough Advertising. If you haven't got a copy, they go for good chunk of change these days, but either way, worth having. It's basically the Bible for marketers. But he has the concept of being unaware, aware, and then needing your service. But for me, we simplified a little bit. People are either unaware of who you are, they're unaware of their problem, or they're aware of you, they're aware of their problem, or you're their trusted advisor. You're the person they look to. So our goal with the Fireside Chat formula, and your goal with the Fireside Chat formula, is to get people from unaware to you being within their circle of trust and their trusted advisor with someone that they work with. So with that, there's kind of a very structured flow to creating that content. Now, content doesn't have to be a 20-minute podcast. Content can be a 3-minute video. Content can be a hour-long presentation. But either way, we still go through a very similar process here. The content idea, what's the big idea? What's the big idea that you want to cover? And here's one tip for you. So I use Basecamp for team management, project management, client management, all that stuff. And I actually have a project in there. I call it the Kennedy Chronicles. And in there, I just have a to-do list. And every time that I have a good idea, or I have a content idea that I think would be good, I go ahead and I type it in there as a task. And so then I have a running log of all kinds of different content ideas that I can always resort back to when I want to create some sort of content for my marketplace that I think is valuable. Now I'll type things in that I think are an amazing idea. And then a week later I come back and I'm like, what? That's not game changing. I'm not going to go create that video. So I think, it's important for that as well to keep that running log as opposed to always have to be on your feet thinking it sometimes. Because I don't know, they talk about writer's block. I'd rather do a video or an audio as opposed to type something out. So for me, it's maybe I get video block, maybe I get audio block. But either way, same thing. Like if you have to sit there and you have to have a content piece out. It's much easier to pull from something than to have to come up and think about those ideas you might have had previously. So for me, the content is kind of the main topic that you're going to create your content around. It's focused on a present pain, a problem, or missing ingredient in your marketplace. It's important to understand that. You want to talk about the present pain, the problem, or missing ingredient in the marketplace that you're going to help solve. Now, there's another thing here that I want to sidebar with. So if you've gone through and done your customer avatar work and built who you work with and how you work with them, and you understand, we have this thing called the Mindshare Method. The Mindshare Method, it goes from Hell Island to Heaven Island. So, right, Hell Island is all the problems they're having. inside of their business. So if you create 4 columns on a sheet of paper and you write down all the different problems that the person's having and issues that they're having, and then next to those problems in the second column, you write symptoms. You write the symptoms that those problems are causing in their life. And then from symptoms, you write the solutions that you're providing to those symptoms and problems. And then what does life look like once they have your solution? So you have each column. You have Hell Island, symptoms, solutions, Heaven Island. And really, your problem has a symptom. Your symptom needs a solution. Your solution provides a result. So I would go ahead and flow through that if you kind of create those 4 columns. And as you start writing out your content, and now you have a list of all this different information that you can pull from when you're creating this Fireside chat. So that was a quick sidebar because that'll make way more sense now when I come back to the Fireside chat formula. So big insight. So the content idea really kind of what I do is I have the overall topic idea. What is that present pain? What's the symptom? What's the missing ingredient in the marketplace? Once I figure out what that is, then I have the big insight. So I don't try and do multiple big insights. I try and just do one big insight. It's basically the 1-page Cliff Notes version that you're giving. So for me, when I have the big insight, there's a couple things that come into that. So one is how I'll write the big insight out of that. The insight is the result. Here's the result that you're going to get by using this, or here's the big aha moment. And to create the content, I have the content idea, then I have the big insight. So I have, here's the problem, here's the result, but then I write down 2 to 3 bullet points for content support. And meaning, because when you create the content, you can just tell somebody and say, well, if you have this problem, do this. But how well does that work for you? I mean, you want to be able to also support that content with stories, with a process, with a system of how they can accomplish that same thing. And then the next thing that you want to do, it's really important, is bonding. People, when they get into content, the way that you become a trusted advisor is people start understanding more about you and understanding about your family and understanding about your business. Similar, like on the podcast, I usually start with a little bit of story about my family or something that I was doing or a trip I'm taking, something that's going on in my life so you can better understand it. So there you go. Now you know I do that in the beginning, but also I like knowing that about people that podcast I listen to and content I follow. I like understanding kind of, hey man, this person's real, not just some person that's talking from a screen. So that's why in the bonding part, what you want to do is you also want to include some sort of a story about you, present or past, that's involved in your day-to-day, but you want to avoid drama. You don't want to deal with a lot of drama because people don't want to deal with that or hear about that. At least I don't, but I don't really care about all the drama. I care about the stories and the present, the past, and then a sidebar, again, on a way to get a good list of these things that you can include in your content. So we have this uniqueness timeline that we use.
The fastest way to scale your business is to get optimized. That's why Nate has pulled together his best resources to help you speed up the process. Go to www.natekennedy.com/free to access them now. What are you waiting for? Go to www.natekennedy.com/free right now and get optimized.
So what I would do, simple, draw a real long line across a piece of paper. On the left side, write birth. On the right side, write now. And then what I would do is I would make lines from those years all the way across that line from big milestones inside of your life. Big milestones, big moments that have happened. So my uniqueness timeline, I won't get into all of these different things, but I have things on there from when I was 21 years old and I flipped my Jeep 2.5 times. And there was 5 of us in the car and we all walked away. So that's a very unique thing that happened in my life. Yes, that kind of goes against the whole drama part, but there's a lot of good lessons that came out of that as well inside of my life. Another thing on my line, I was a scuba diving instructor. It was my first job out of college. That's a uniqueness thing. But what did I learn through that process? Back when I was younger, I broke my ankle when I was actually at a Moms Against Gangs rally with a good friend of mine who lived a little bit in the inner city. So I was at this with him and his family, and playing volleyball, a guy dove and broke my ankle. So these uniqueness things. The moment that I filed for bankruptcy was a uniqueness on my timeline. So there's a lot of different things. It's just to give you some ideas, but these are all bonding stories that you can share within your content to help people get to know you better. So just fill that timeline out, write all that stuff out. And then if you want to take it even a step deeper on this uniqueness timeline, you can then go ahead and say, hey, here's my unique story. Here's where the problems and symptoms, and here are the solutions. So now you can kind of weave all that stuff together as you start telling the story. So the next thing is the value. So after you got that bonding down, the next thing you want to incorporate it into the content is the value. How is this going to help? You need to state what to do with it. So it's one thing. So you got the content idea, you've got the big insight that you're giving them, you've told the bonding story throughout it, you got 2 to 3 bullet points of supporting copy, you're going through that information. But it's one thing to just go ahead. It's one thing to give them that information, but it's also, you want to make it applicable. Like, how can you leverage this? How can you use it? How's it going to help you? And what do you need to do with it? So you want to make sure that there's an actionable process for them going forward as well from that big insight, or something that they can glean from that information to implement into their business. Make sense? So from there, you also have your trusted action. So some content, you'll want to have what we call in the marketing world a call to action. I'm not a big fan of hard selling or anything like that. I'm usually like, hey man, by the way, if you love this content, I got more information for you to help you with it. If you want, by the way, we can do a sales funnel audit and help you go through your entire marketing sales funnel and sales processes and optimize those to help them and give you a blueprint to go forward and implement, right? So there's different things that you can offer. It doesn't need to be a hard sell. It needs to be more of just kind of, hey, by the way, if you like this, I have more info here for you. And there's other ways that you and I can work deeper together. So from there, you'll see the Fireside Chat formula. You'll be able to, if you went to firesidechatformula.com and you've downloaded this, you'll see the document. It's a 1-page document we use. I'm actually thinking about putting this thing into a journal. So once you go through this, if you think it would be super cool to have like your own journal that you could walk around and keep in your laptop bag or whatever, and you just open it up and you write this stuff out, boom, you're ready to roll with your content, as opposed to printing on a sheet of paper, let me know, because I've actually in the process of designing it right now, but it'd be cool to know that someone else wants it besides me. So with that, you'll see in this thing, it's to get your big insight. Are you talking, we have one thing in here, the circle of trust. Who are you talking to? Is it somebody that's unaware, someone that's aware that's already, or is it somebody that's already got you as a trusted advisor? From there, you write out your big insight. Underneath that, you put your 2 supporting points. Underneath that, you have your bonding story. Under there, you have the big value that they're getting. And then from there, the trusted action that you want to take. So once you have that one sheet filled out, that's going to create a very solid piece of content in the marketplace that's going to separate you from everyone else. And because you're doing so many different core pieces, you're giving a big insight, you're bonding with them. You're also, in that big insight, you're covering and solving some pain or symptom they're potentially having, which is a huge, huge important piece, is you're touching all these core components. You're now building and creating content that's boosting your authority, attracting the right audience, and helping you build a healthy pipeline for your business. So super important. This has been a game changer for us in my business. Once I figured out how to do this, I was able to start producing better content. Our business, actually, we started attracting more and more people that we enjoyed being around and clients that we enjoyed working with from this process. And we started picking up just a better flow within our industry. So yeah, phenomenal. I hope you like it. Love to get your feedback. If this was a super valuable tactical or /strategy podcast for you and you like this kind of stuff, let me know. Leave me a review, hit subscribe button, and let's go from there. Other than that, I'll see you on the next episode of Get Optimized. And thank you so much for listening in on this. And I look forward to hearing how the Fireside Chat formula has helped you boost authority, attract the right audience, and build a healthy pipeline for your business. Talk soon.
This is the podcastfactory.com.